Hi, this is Jenny Kaisela. I'm the Family Education Coordinator here at California School for the Deaf Riverside. I am thrilled to have our special guests with us today. We have a group of parents from a variety of different departments on our campus, from ECE to high school. I thought it would be a great idea to have the community members and parents hear from other children's parents, our students' parents in different departments, what their experiences are and what opportunities our children are being able to participate in. So I think it'd be great to show what these other families' experiences are. So I'd like to welcome and introduce our group of parents are joining us today. We will start with Esther. Please welcome Esther. Hello, everyone. Hello, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know how many deaf kids you have, what languages you use at home. My name is Esther Fass. This is my name sign. I do have 3 children, and all 3 of them are deaf. The oldest 2 are in CSDR. My oldest is in the elementary school department in 2nd grade. My middle child is in ECE in pre-K. And before they came into CSDR, they were in the Kendall School in Washington, D.C. Anything else you want me to add to your question? No, thank you very much. And then next we will go to Rene Visco. Hello, everyone. I do have 5 children. The youngest is, I have a junior, a senior, a junior, a 7th grader, and a 4th grader. I have 4 kids that are at CSDR, so it's nice that I can drop off all 4 of my kids at CSDR. We moved here almost 16 years ago to have my kids attend CSDR, and that would be because of my family. The first child was deaf, and then we've been here ever since, so it's been a huge blessing to be here at CSDR. Next, we have Yiesell. You're muted.
Sorry. Hi, everybody. My name is Yiesell Rayon, and I am the mother of 3 boys. I have an older son who's 15 years old and hearing. Then I have my 9-year-old who is deaf and a 3-year-old who's also hearing. My 9-year-old is a 3rd grader at CSDR and has been attending CSDR since he was in TK. Prior to being at CSDR, he was attending a TC program out of the city of Covina.
Thank you so much. And then next we have Brittany. Hi, my name is Brittany, and I'm actually from Riverside, California. I do have 4 children. 3 of them are at CSDR. The oldest one is a hearing child, and then the last 3 are all deaf. All 3 kids went into our PIP program and are continued on. So we have 3rd grade, 1st grade, and pre-K. We do use ASL in the house as our home language. And also mention that you are an alumni. Yes, I am also an alumnus of CSD Riverside. So that's how my kids started attending CSDR as well. Thank you. And then we have Tony. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you. My
Tony,
son's
do you want to
name...
turn your video on?
Oh, yes. Sorry. If I can figure it out.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Tony, and my son's name is Tony. He's in the 8th grade at CSDR. He's hard of hearing. And before Riverside, he attended the Atlanta area school for the deaf. We lived down there for 4 years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with a few questions, and we'll go around our panel. Some of you have already mentioned how old your children are and what age they started at CSDR and what departments they're in. Do any of you have any prior experience before attending CSDR that you would like to share? We'll start with Esther. Experience related to school and activities specifically? Yes, prior to arriving at CSDR. For my older two kids, they went to the Kendall School in DC because I was a student at Gallaudet and working in school at the same time. So it was nice to have something on campus. They had a PIP program there that was fantastic. What does PIP stand for? Our Parent Infant Program. So from birth, my oldest one was PIP, starting as a PIP student at the age of 4 months old for academics and education. Of course, it was informal because of child development and whatnot, but it still exposed them to language. The second child also, I believe, started around the same age. I can't remember exactly, but it was really nice to have that accessibility and having that sign exposure the entire time they were around. So our family lives here in California instead of DC. So my partner, Mark, is actually from here in Riverside and was born and raised here. So it was a nice decision moving here. So, and definitely have not looked back. It's been a very positive experience. CSDR has been a very warm and welcoming committee. So I don't know everyone, but everyone is very respectful, regardless of backgrounds or regardless of different occupations. So it's been a very warm and inviting environment. I really have enjoyed being at CSDR. They have a ton of different events. For example, oh God, what's it called? I feel like because I've been at home, I've been home too long. The Literacy Day. Oh, I totally forgot the name of it. Apparently I've been home too long. But my point is, it's opportunities for kids to be able to sign. That's right, it's the ECELLL. But there's also one for elementary, so it's writing samples, but it gives a chance for students to really show their reading, writing, and signing capabilities. So it gives them that sense of pride on being on stage. There's also sports that are in partnership with Riverside Parks and Rec. So it's really nice to have that. So it's a very positive experience. So I better shut up now. That's quite all right. Thank you so much. Rene, would you like to add anything? Would you like me to elaborate on the high school area? Because I've got those 4 kids. So I moved when my oldest child was 4 months old. So we moved here and kind of moving forward. And I was very blessed because we have the family education coordinator position. It tried to work with our school district to set up a PIP or parent infant program. So I was fortunate to begin my oldest child, who's currently a senior. She's actually the first class of PIP that started at CSDR. So we're lucky we came at the right time, the right place. And all 4 of my kids have been here through their PIP years, and it's been a great experience. So Esther, I agree with what you said, the after school activities. My oldest has had honors classes, AP courses. So it's just been a huge advantage. And I will definitely be adding to my story a little bit later. Yiesell?
Hi, yes. My journey has been a little bit different, being that I am a hearing parent and I do not have any deaf family members in the family. It was all new to me. And so at that point, I was listening and taking advice from all the medical professionals that I was dealing with at the time when my son was diagnosed at birth. At that point, we were recommended to attend John Tracy Clinic, who provided us with a lot of great information and resources in regards to what we were experiencing at the time. And we were focusing on listening and spoken language. That lasted about till he was about 18 months. And then I started working directly with the school district a little bit more. And then from 18 months to about 5 years old, Marky was attending a TC program. At that time, we noticed that his language was not there. He was, expressing himself with a lot of gestures, one word here and there. He still wasn't putting words together, whether it was ASL or with spoken English. And so we were looking for change, and that's how we started looking into CSDR. And I will say it's been the most amazing experience. It's the best decision I've done for our son since he was born. And it's just been incredible, just being able to have the ability to not only have the ASL inclusion, but also the deaf community. It's amazing, for him to be able to go to school with deaf peers and also be taught by deaf teachers, which I completely love, because For us, it's important to raise him being proud of who he is and just having that role model as deaf adults and deaf peers in his life. It means a lot to it. So it's been an amazing experience being a CSDR parent.
I can definitely imagine. Thank you so much for sharing. Brittany, do you have anything you'd like to add? Prior experience for my children, I actually don't have any because I already knew about CSDR from the beginning. But I can speak for my own experience. I was not raised at the Riverside School for the Deaf. I was in a mainstream hearing school, a total communication program similar to what Yiesell was saying. I was at Tripod, which is a total communication program. I was there for a short period of time and then went to a hearing mainstream school with a deaf teacher. There are particular DHH programs in public schools, and I attended one of those. There was communication access, but there was all the hearing kids there. It's definitely a different experience trying to play with them. I ended up moving to CSDR at 3rd grade, and I've been there ever since. My kids already were aware of CSDR, so we knew about the PIP program and what advantages it had. My oldest daughter is hearing, but it's also definitely a different experience for me being in the hearing climate in the hearing school. All hearing parents, I mean, I'm not able to communicate with my child's hearing parents, so I've had to fight for interpreters at her school. So it's definitely a different experience with the first one as compared to the younger 3. Tony, I understand that your son, Tony, joined a little bit later. So if you can explain where he came from prior to attending CSDR.
Hold on a second. What am I doing wrong here? Okay, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so like I was saying, pardon me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, prior to coming to CSDR, well, you know, Tony started pre-K at CSDR. He repeated it. He was in Atlanta. We were at the Atlanta School for the Deaf, Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. After he got diagnosed, he was almost 3 years old. You know, we were wondering why he wasn't speaking, and we actually, a pediatrician actually sent us to Children's Hospital in Atlanta, where he was diagnosed as being hard of hearing. And it's at birth, they diagnosed him as being okay, his hearing being okay. So anyway, that's how we got to the Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. And when we decided to move back to California, we looked at Los Angeles, and we weren't happy with the school they had there. And I guess there's one in Whittier. We didn't want to do that. And his teachers at Atlanta Area School for the Deaf actually referred us to CSDR. So we decided to move to Riverside instead of LA. And we are so happy with his progress, and you know, his teachers are very caring and very accessible. And we're able to keep track of his progress. And he loves his friends and classmates. And we couldn't be more happy, my wife and I.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Okay, now our second question. What has your child benefited from CSDR? Explain the growth and the positive experiences that you have seen within your child. Yeah. What has been the benefit from CSDR, and what's the positive growing experience they've had? So we'll go ahead and start with Esther.
Parent. It's a meeting.
Honestly, there is a litany of different things. I'm trying to select just one. Author's chair. I think that was the name I was trying to think of earlier. So it's been a huge part of the self-esteem of our kids. It's been an important skill for them to be able to work on. If you can explain author's chair. Author's chair is similar to like what what the students have learned, and they're able to write a story and give that presentation to the audience, usually kindergarten to second or third grade. I've noticed a lot of self-esteem and positivity coming from that event, author's chair. So they show their work and they're able to show off what they've learned. And my second daughter, I mean, honestly, there's a ton of different positivity. See, she's right here. She's going to be a future CSDR student, the younger one here. What else should I add? I mean, there's a ton of different things. Sports, interaction with teachers, extra support that we've received, a lot of positivity. It's been a fantastic experience. So Rene is next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and elaborate a little bit about the AP courses and honors. So CSDR is unique. The community is not just a one-room place. My oldest is also a role model for the younger children. So she has really internalized that idea that she is a role model. It's that built-in structure for the younger kids to look up to. Of course, there's that self-esteem with school clubs and organizations. High school also provides junior NAD, which is a youth national association for the deaf. So they're able to be involved in that. They're able to go to camp in the summer. My two oldest will be going to camp this summer to interact with other individuals. We also want to make sure that the biggest high schools, usually it's a larger number, so it's a limited opportunity for involvement because of sports and whatnot. It's not like they are meant to be left out, but CSDR welcomes everyone in every one of their clubs. So that's one of the positivities. They're just like author's chair for elementary, it really improves their self-esteem. The high school has their leadership skills that they are improving on. So it's definitely hard to measure on paper the experiences that my children have had. Yiesell?
Hi, so my son has benefited from attending CSDR quite a lot, you know. First of all, language, being able to be exposed to ASL on a daily basis, you know, and having that extra time with the deaf community when at home we're all hearing. So that's a huge benefit. And, you know, being able to participate in sports since he was, I believe he started since he was in first grade. That was something really exciting that they don't usually offer at mainstream schools. So it was nice to be able to, you know, attend sports and games, you know, that he would play along with other deaf peers. His growth and positive experience, you know, again, I can go back to language. You know, I don't think he'd be where he is at now with his language skills had he not be attending CSDR. And he's also learned how to advocate for himself. So that's, you know, and that was from a very young age.
That's a fantastic thing to learn. So Brittany. Now, what benefits for my children at CSDR? Honestly, it's that signed communication. My kids have really benefited quite a bit. It's that communication accessibility that they have automatically on campus. The social interaction that they get all the time. I mean, soup to nuts, everything. I couldn't possibly explain all the benefits. They're still growing, and they'll have more benefits from here to high school. And I don't know what that's going to look like. We're still in the ECE and elementary program, so there'll definitely be more benefits as they age. Tony, would you like to share?
Yes. One second. Okay.
What positive experiences and growth have you seen in your son?
Well, in his confidence. Yeah, I've seen growth every year since elementary. He was in the author's chair, and he did Battle of the Books in middle school. And he's been playing sports.
What is Battle of the Books? If you can explain a little bit about Battle of the Books.
It's a I guess it's a club at CSDR for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Yeah. And yeah, they review 3 books during the course of the year. And then they compete by video conference against other deaf schools across the country. And the winner gets to go to Washington, D.C. to compete, the top 5 teams. And we didn't make it this, we were in the top 5, but we didn't make it because of COVID. But it's really helped his reading ability, and he enjoys it a whole lot. And sports, we've been, Tony has played basketball every year since he could pick up a ball, and baseball and flag football. And what else? He played something else. I can't remember now. But the relationships he has, I think it's very unusual, and it's very nice that the kids get to remain friends from, preschool all the way through high school. That's something you don't find in public schools, hearing schools. So that's unique. It's very special for me, and my wife loves it too. So.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so we have question number 3. Tony, if you want to go ahead and mute yourself as well. Now, third question, what does your child love about CSDR? I know all of our children love school. They love that social interaction, but specifically, what does your child, what does your child love the most about CSDR? We'll start with Esther. Now that question, first thing I thought of, that CSDR is an outside school. My kids, my other kids that were at Kendall, everything was indoors. So cafeteria, the library, classroom, restrooms, everything was all indoors. And now with CSDR, everything is outside. So it encourages their independence. And it's that fresh air that's so very important for these kids' growth. And they can see the mountains, they see trees, they can walk around on the grass. Also, these sports activities that they're able to be involved in. They always are thrilled to go to practice. They have friends, teachers, especially during PE time. My daughter loves Reagan. Her absolutely favorite teacher is Reagan. How often is PE? During virtual, it's twice a week. But in-person school, honestly, I've completely forgotten what it's like to be in school. I believe it's daily. I believe PE is daily when they are in person. Rene. It's hard to really summarize it wrap it up into one. So I think it's that clear accessibility to communication. There's no barriers, no misunderstandings, nothing going through an interpreter, nothing that has to be handwritten. Everything from teachers to their friends and staff members alike, it's all instant communication. And it's really hard to really elaborate on, but my kids love CSDR because of communication with their friends. Once you have those friendships, those will last for a lifetime. Yiesell?
So Marky just did a presentation for Covina Valley ASL Club, which included all the ASL students from the high schools within the district. And he was asked this question. And his first response was to be able to have lunch with all my deaf friends. And after that, I told him to pick other things. And he said that just the fact that he's able to communicate with his teachers and everybody that works there and goes to school in ASL is one of his favorite parts. So again, we go back to language and communication.
Absolutely. Brittany? What does your kid love the most about CSDR? Communication access. Really, it's what my kids love the most. Other things are like events. Any of their events, my kids are just thrilled. They want to go see everyone and just be little social butterflies and find out what's what. It's that accessibility. I mean, that really says everything. Tony?
Hi. Yeah, I think it is the language. You know, everybody in his family, in his extended family, is hearing it. You know, that access to, you know, kids like him is really good. And he's very happy. He's very happy.
Well, that's also very important. Having your child be happy is also very important. Okay, so the fourth question we have for our panelists. As many of you have mentioned, that participation in different programs and activities other than academics. Maybe if you can give us other things that come up, different activities and programs that your children have been a part of. Maybe after school activities, specific activities. I know some have mentioned a few clubs. Maybe mention a few more if you can. What outside organizations you're members of and participate with. So we'll start with Esther. Anything else that you would like to add? Because my kids are still very young, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for clubs, but obviously middle school does have that and high school has even more. Right now, my kids are involved with Riverside Parks and Rec, the sports program, so that's really nice. So that's one thing that they're involved in. So other deaf kids join that as well, or is it just yours? Well, it is connected to CSDR. It's their own team that plays against Riverside Parks and Rec other teams. Basketball, it's entirely at CSDR in the MAC, so it's nice to see all these, like hearing kids exposed to deaf kids and sign language. So that's the one thing that I love. They're very mindful about the Riverside community, and the Riverside community knows about CSDR. So if you go to public places and are signing, it's not like it's culture shock for the hearing people, because people know that there are so many deaf people here in Riverside. So it's nice to have that accessibility. Rene? For example, like Harvest Festival, we have that every year. It's a very popular event for our kids, for all of my kids, actually. We've enjoyed that. My oldest have been involved in leadership. They set up a haunted house, and they've planned this haunted house. It really empowers our students to plan something like this. So they do the decorations and the planning for it. So Esther's kids would enjoy something like that are planned by my kids. So it's a nice tradition to continue. And also, I do coach the Parks and Rec team. Our school works very closely with the City of Riverside Parks and Rec, and they use our facilities. So it's really nice to have that interaction with the other kids in the other areas. It's really empowering for myself as a coach and for my children to look up to a deaf person to see that they can coach and also be a leader in the community. And I'm sure your kids definitely help with the younger teams and help coach and practice the younger teams. Yes, I do have a few assistant coaches. My kids take advantage of that. If I'm focused with one group, I have my kids help out with some of the other younger kids. Yiesell?
So other than the Parks and Rec sports that my son truly enjoys with CSDR, he also attends the Good News Club at CSDR. It's pretty much like a Bible study group that is taught in ASL. So he really enjoys that. Other than at CSDR, I am the vice president for California Hymns and Voices. So I have been very deeply involved with, other than right now because of COVID, normally we have monthly events, a day at the park or family camp, which he really enjoys, is a 3-day weekend camp where families come together. Typically, they're hearing parents, all deaf children, all sorts of communication, and the kids just have a blast. I also have him involved with ASDC and their sign-on program, which is a peer-to-peer connection. Right now during COVID, it's really important to, have these connections with other deaf kids. So I try my best to keep him involved and keep him busy with things that involve his language, ASL.
Just curious, Yiesell, if you can explain a little bit more about California Hands and Voices. What is that
Yes,
organization
so
about and what do they do?
yes, of course. So California Hands and Voices is a nonprofit organization serving families with deaf or hard of hearing children. We provide advocacy support, collaboration, events. Right now with COVID, it's been very difficult, because we're so used to having events for families and children. And it's basically just a time, to bring families together to show other kids, especially those who are not attending CSDR, to have that deaf environment, to have, other children that wear hearing aids or cochlear implants, or other children that sign or use listening and spoken language to be able to communicate and spend time with. So it's pretty much a nonprofit organization, again, providing resources to parents and that communication and network for both children and parents.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Brittany, any other programs and activities? Like people have mentioned, sports. There are other fun activities that kids can be involved with during the school year. They have the 100-mile club, so kids are involved in that. They have their turkey trot for right around Thanksgiving. What about parent organization? FSCA, so it's Family School Community Association, FSCA. So it's parents that get together and volunteer and help out for after-school activities and whatnot, after-school events, like the Harvest Festival that was mentioned. I can't remember other events. I can't even think at this point. Again, we've been staying at home too long. I can't think of those things, but there are different events and a lot of different activities that kids can be involved with. And again, elementary and ECE are my kids. There's not really a whole lot of organizations or different activities for the younger kids, but we're working on it. Tony?
Yeah, Tony is in, also participates in the Parks and Rec League with his teammates. Sorry. And yeah, he enjoys that a lot. And he's done the 100-mile club. And what else has he done? I think that's about it. No, yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
The next question. This question may apply to some of you and maybe not. Do your children receive any other services other than academics? For example, like counseling, maybe specialized educational support, speech, after-school tutoring, mentorship programs? Do they receive any other services other than academics? So we'll start with Esther. My daughter does receive speech and language services, not specifically for spoken language, but more of support with communication and with sign. So that service, it's not just for spoken language. It also parallels the classroom learning. They can make it applicable in the classroom. So it's hugely beneficial for my kids. Leah really has been a pleasure to work with, and Leah has worked with my daughter for the last 3 years, and we've noticed a huge improvement and growth in her. So it's been a very positive thing. That language stimulation and support. Right, exactly. Rene? My kids are involved in speech and also counseling. My wife had passed away, and I was very thankful to the CSDR community for providing that support and lifting me up. I appreciate their additional services, for example, counseling, to be able to support my kids through the grieving process, and I'm grateful for that. For school counselors on campus, yes, that's correct. They would pull them from class once or twice a week to sit with them individually to make sure they were doing okay and not drowning in that grief. So being as a single dad at that time, I really needed CSDR to provide that extra support. I couldn't possibly thank them enough. So they've gone far and beyond what they could do. So I'm grateful for that on-campus support that emotional support, the mental health support for my kids. Even though my kids seem to be doing okay, but it's still nice to have that support. They stand and show that they are there to support my kids, and I could never possibly thank you enough for that. Speech as well. I really encourage my kids, even though I'm deaf, I encourage that speech because it really exposes them to the world around them. Hearing people rely on their speech and their hearing. So for example, like music and whatnot, my kids are still involved with, like, for example, like TikTok dances and all that stuff that's really popular right now. It's that pop culture thing that's really fun for me to see their growth with. Yiesell?
So my son does speech therapy at CSDR as well. And being that he is also deaf plus with ADHD, he also has a counselor. And so it's benefited him tremendously, with his behavior, learning to deal with certain situations and how to react to them. And I can say that even right now, especially now during COVID, it has been a tremendous help, being that we're a hearing family, Marky is not exposed to the deaf community right now, with distance learning. And in the beginning of this pandemic, it was really affecting him emotionally. And so CSDR has stepped up with their counseling, and I have to give JT a lot of credit for how much she has supported my son and both my husband and I with tools and ways to work with him and, keep him connected with the deaf community so that he doesn't cry like he was doing every single day, every single night when this whole pandemic first started. It was very difficult, emotionally. So the support that I received from the counseling department has been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Brittany? Services my kids receive. I do receive speech with what Esther and others have said. It's really beneficial for school and also in the outside community. A lot of people rely on lip reading, words and letters and the different movements. Me being hard of hearing myself, I rely on lip reading. So sometimes if teachers give spelling words, I'm trying to figure out what it is. So it's something that's easier for me. So it really has helped. And it's going to help my kids as well. So we listen to music a lot because my fiance is hard of hearing. Again, TikTok, it's very popular right now. My kids really enjoy that, even though they can't hear it, but they still really enjoy it. So speech services really help, and they enjoy participating in those speech services. Tony, any other services that your son receives?
Yes, Tony has been involved in speech. Still is, but he's done it for a few years now. And also counseling in the past too. Yeah.
So pretty similar to everyone's comment.
Pardon me?
Pretty similar to everyone's comment.
Oh, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. He really enjoys the speech teacher and the counselor.
Excellent, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will go ahead and wrap up with kind of a 2 questions in 1. What is your advice to any parent that's joining a new school or a new community, whether it be a deaf residential school or anything that you would like to add, just to kind of share with our other families and to other parents? We'll start with Esther. I was actually still a fairly new parent, so I remember that experience. So it's tough sometimes, but I feel like I could depend on the school. Some events or what the progress is or what the process is, the community was always there to provide advice and support and explanations. So I felt like even though I was a new parent, that feeling really goes away quickly because you become part of a community. The teachers have been very warm and interactive. They've been willing to answer my questions, and I really appreciate that closeness with that relationship with my kids' teachers. For new parents, the advice is don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask, check. Other people's opinions are always important. Other parents are willing to support you. Thank you. Rene? Now, I would like to direct mine to hearing parents. I know there's, coming from a medical perspective, there's a lot of different viewpoints. There's a lot of shock and grief, and I understand that feeling. The doctors tend to give you the medical perspective, for example, hearing aids and cochlear implants and that kind of thing. I understand that, I support it, but I also would like to share that change is hard. Make sure that you take that step up. You're always welcoming and warm to everyone. Don't ever have that doubt of not sure if you'll be welcome. Check out different programs. But it's a strong argument that CSDR does provide the best option for your child and the best support for your kids. Don't be afraid to take a step. We will definitely welcome you in and provide you support. We have social workers, we have family ed coordinators, we have a variety of different individuals to provide support and answer your questions and your concerns. I know there are other hearing parents that can also help out and help make sure your child's needs are being met academically. Yiesell?
My advice would be to get involved, get informed, and don't be afraid to try anything different. Just because something's not working, it doesn't mean that you made the wrong choice as a parent. It's okay to try something, find out it doesn't work, and then move forward by trying something different. Whether it's using listening and spoken language or learning an ASL, the ASL language. I know as a hearing parent, sometimes it's scary, you know, to step into out of your comfort world and try a new language or even approach a deaf adult. I know prior to me learning the basic ASL that I know, it was very intimidating because I didn't know the language. But you have to take that strength and move forward and try to improve to better advocate for your child and to better have your child be known within, you know, the deaf community and have that access of other deaf adults and peers near them. I would advise also to meet other parents, whether it's hearing parents of, you know, deaf children or deaf parents of deaf children, and see what works for them. You know, it doesn't mean it's going to work for your family, but you can get ideas. Like Rene mentioned, sometimes the audiologists and medical professionals, they don't speak about ASL and the benefit about it. They only focus on getting the cochlear implant and taking speech therapy. And sometimes that doesn't work. So, you know, just keep informed and get involved. And remember that California Hands and Voices is here for you guys. We are always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for parents to get involved. And if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to us and get involved by meeting us or attending one of our events.
Great tips, Yiesell. Thank you. Brittany? My advice, everyone's already said my advice. You guys have already said it all. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to meet someone new and ask questions. Don't be passive about your kids' education. The deaf school is a great place for all of our kids to be. And here in Riverside or other deaf schools, it doesn't make a difference as long as they have access to communication. That would be the key. Don't be afraid to ask. Thank you. Tony, any last advice for other parents?
Yeah, just more of the same. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Lord knows I had a bunch of them and still do, but there's always an answer. And, you know, we view the school, the teachers, you know, the administration, we view them as family, and they're very, very welcoming. And you never really feel uncomfortable. Yeah. So just ask questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you to all of our parents who participated in our panel today. This has been just absolutely heart-touching for me. Many similar experiences, some different experiences, different programs and services and age ranges. It really runs the gamut. So it's nice to see a variety and be able to visualize that our children are receiving the things that they need to be able to meet every child's need. they're able to academically meet what they need, their sports, their extracurricular activities. There's a ton of different benefits and opportunities for your children. If you have any further questions, or if you'd like to know more information about our school, about CSD Riverside or our program, you can contact me at any time. You can find me on the website under the Family Ed link. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.